Hi, brothers and sisters. So, some people had asked me about how to overcome food lust and how to beat cravings and things like that. And this isn't a video that I usually make. I'm not a health expert, but the Lord has revealed to me certain things about food lust and certain things about beating cravings. Practical wisdom on how to overcome these things that I think will bless many people. These are things that I have applied in my own life and I've shared with my family members. And I think if you understand some of the concepts that I'm about to share in this video, I think it will set many, many people free. Just to begin, while it's true that, food lust and cravings are a spiritual thing, we have to understand also the science behind these things. It's very important that we understand why it is that we have cravings from a science standpoint. So in my own life, I had inflammation issues. And these inflammation issues started when I was about in high school. And I noticed that I would be very tired all the time. I noticed that I started having skin issues. I noticed I started having cravings. I noticed I started to have digestion issues. And then I started having food intolerances. And over the years, these symptoms got worse and worse until finally I had to realize, okay, there's something that I'm eating that is causing my health to deteriorate. I started to realize that I was reacting to the food, and the food was causing me to have inflammation in my body. Part of what was causing the inflammation as well was due to blood sugar dysregulation. So what happens is when our blood sugar is high, it causes a bunch of symptoms. So for some women, it causes, PCOS and infertility issues. For others, it's the root cause of a lot of heart issues, and so much medical issues can be traced to inflammation. And like I said, inflammation has many different causes, but a major cause of inflammation is high blood sugar, which leads to, over time, insulin resistance. So I'm not going to go too much into the science of things, so don't worry if you don't understand what those things mean. I'm just going to keep things very basic here. So one thing we know is that it's important for us as believers to be able to not be controlled by our appetites and by our lusts. And one common lust is food lust. And it's probably one of the most difficult lusts to overcome, along with, sexual lust and, other types of lust. This is probably one of the hardest. And the reason why this one is so hard to overcome is because there's many things that are put in the food these days that keep us in a chain of addiction to food. And unless we understand exactly what's going on, it's very, very, very difficult for people to overcome, because there's so much in the food that is dysregulating our hormones, that is messing with our cravings and what should be normal processes of handling calories. There's a lot in these modern days that is working against us, that goes beyond just the spiritual aspect. So we have to understand this. So while it's easy to tell someone, just stop eating or do this extreme diet, those things for many people are not going to be sustainable until they address the root issue. Because there's something deeper that is happening in our body that is causing us, our metabolism, our health, our cravings to be manipulated. And that's why we see in this culture that is a heavy diet culture. There's so many food fads, but yet at the same time we see extreme cases of binge eating disorders, high levels of eating disorders such as bulimia and anorexia, extreme diets that say that you can't eat bread and you can't eat, or that this food is dangerous even though it's a natural food. So there's so much confusion, and we're going to talk about just basic things about what is going on here. And I'm not a professional, I'm not a medical. I don't have a degree in nutrition or health. This is not something that I really focus on or really study, but this is something that the Lord has shown me personally that I've seen work. And I've seen is the common root of why many people have cravings and things like that. And I had a burden. That's why I felt it'd be such a disservice if I didn't share some of the things that Lord has guided me on when it comes to health and nutrition and food lust and cravings. So like I said, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a health professional, but people have asked me, how do I deal with food lust? Why do I have these intense cravings? Things like that. How do I combat this? Is it spiritual, or is there something I need to do as well in my diet? So that's what we're going to be talking about. So when it first comes to food lust, we have to understand that it's not normal. God has not designed our bodies to be hungry all the time. It's also not a normal state for us to have constant cravings for sugar. So we have to understand that these things are not normal. It's not normal 2 hours after eating to be super hungry and ravenous and need a chocolate bar. And so the first thing we have to understand is there's something going on here, that it's not normal. So first thing we have to understand is when we're talking about food lust, cravings, some people call it hangry, what is the root cause behind this? Why is it that some people have a tough time, have cravings for sugar all the time? Why do they need a snack everywhere they go? So the cause of this is due to a thing called insulin resistance and reactive hypoglycemia. That's what's happening in the body. So like I said, I'm not a medical professional, but I'll explain to you what that means in very simple terms. So the way that God has created our body is that when we have sugar or carbs, our blood sugar goes up. And when we have high blood sugar, our body pumps out insulin to stabilize our blood sugar. The reason why our body does that is because having high blood sugar for long durations of time can be damaging. It can cause inflammation and other symptoms. And so our body has a mechanism where, when we eat carbs, when we eat sugar, it sends out insulin to keep our blood sugars even and level. And so this is a normal process that God has created in our bodies. But what happens is most of the modern food has been modified, and it's not the way that God originally intended it to be. If you look at the diet that they ate in the Bible, things like milk, things like lentils, fish, meat, whole wheat, all these things in proper proportion are not going to send the blood sugars extremely high. It's a balanced diet. And because of this, when people eat a diet that's like that, they remain insulin sensitive. So what that means is that because their blood sugar doesn't spike so high, their body is able to produce the right amount of insulin to keep someone's blood sugar stable. Now, why is it important that our blood sugar is stable? The reason why it's important that our blood sugar is stable is because when our blood sugar dips low, we get into a place called hypoglycemia. And low blood sugar is the cause of what some people call hangry. It's the cause of cravings. It's the cause of this, I need to get a candy bar really quick right now. It causes shakiness and jitteriness. It causes brain fog and all these things because your blood sugar is low, and we need stable blood sugar to have good health. And so the diet that we see in the Bible is designed so that our blood sugars remain stable. What happens is the diet of the 21st century causes our blood sugar to spike frequently and consistently. So in the beginning, because of the excess amount of sugar and other poisonous things that they're putting in the food, that causes constant spikes in our blood sugar. So I'll give you an example. If you have a Kit Kat is not a natural food. It has a bunch of sugar that is not a natural form of sugar, for example, like honey and dates. You'll notice in the natural sugars that God has with fruits as well, there's fiber. And what fiber does is it blunts a high blood sugar spike because of the fiber. But the way that the modern food is created is that if you have a Kit Kat, there's no fiber, there's no healthy fat, and there's no protein. So instead of the sugar being released into your body gradually, which is what will keep you fuller for longer, it's an intense, quick amount of sugar released into the body without fiber, protein, or fat, blunting that. And like I said in the beginning of the video, when your blood sugar spikes, your body has to send insulin to bring back your blood sugar to normal levels. And this is normal, right? This is normal. Most times we eat, our blood sugar is going to spike up a little bit, but it should be a gradual release of energy. But with the way the food has been corrupted in this modern day is there's this quick release of sugar. The body then sends out insulin and it brings it back to normal levels. Now in the beginning, your body's going to work well in being able to do this. Your body's going to produce enough insulin to be able to regulate your blood sugars. What happens is when you keep eating in such a way where your blood sugar is constantly spiking, your body will have to keep pumping out insulin in order to make your blood sugar stable. Remember, having high blood sugar is detrimental to the body for a long time. It's the cause of things like inflammation and other diseases. So your body has to send out insulin. And the higher the blood sugar, the more insulin that needs to be pumped out to bring your blood sugars lower. And what happens is if you continue to do this year after year, eating in such a way where your blood sugar is consistently spiking many times a day, you begin to develop a thing that is called insulin resistance. So insulin resistance is when things begin to malfunction in your body. Those receptors get tired because they're constantly having to bring down your blood sugars all the time, and it becomes dysregulated. So what happens is over time, let's say you continually eat in such a way that spikes your blood sugar. So like we said, if you have a balanced diet, where your blood sugars are not constantly spiking, and you can also look up, what causes your blood sugar to spike on something that's called the glycemic index. So you'll notice there things like white bread, white pasta, refined sugars, refined grains are things that will consistently cause your blood sugar to spike. But let's say you've been eating the standard American diet or the standard Western diet, and for many years you've been spiking your blood sugar. So you develop a thing called insulin resistance. So what this means is things become dysregulated, and now your body can't function in the way that it's supposed to when it comes to sugar. So this is what happens. What happens now is before maybe you were able to eat that candy bar, your blood sugar would spike high, your body would send insulin to bring your blood sugars to become stable. But now your body gets tired and things become dysregulated. So when insulin resistance happens, your body begins to pump out too much insulin. So what does that mean? It means that now you eat that candy bar and now your body begins to aggressively pump out insulin. And what's the issue with this? Isn't insulin a good thing? Don't we need insulin to stabilize blood sugar? Yes. But what happens is because now that it's dysregulated, there's too much insulin that is being sent out, and that causes your blood sugar to dip lower than it should. And this is what is called reactive hypoglycemia. So now what happened is you ate that candy bar, your body is dysregulated, your body sends too much insulin, and now instead of bringing your sugars to a normal level, your blood sugars go even lower than it should. And the consequences of low blood sugar is now you're hungry. You're hungry because you need sugar. Low blood sugars send the signals in your body that says, I'm hungry, I'm hungry. So that doesn't make sense. You just ate. How could you possibly be hungry? You just ate. It's because you ate, your blood sugars went so high, your body overshot and aggressively pumped out insulin. Your body dropped below base level in blood sugars, and now you're starving, even though you just ate. And what happens when you're in the state where you have low blood sugar? Your body is screaming out, I need energy, I need energy. And your body is now looking for the quickest source of energy. So now you're in a state where you have two options, that salad with protein or that chocolate bar. Your body is screaming the chocolate bar because your body knows that that chocolate bar is going to be the quickest way that your blood sugar is going to rise up again, and you're going to get out of that state. And so now it's a vicious cycle because your body's saying, I need energy, I need energy. You go for the quickest source of energy, but then what happens again? Your blood sugar skyrockets. And then in a short time, your body says, oh no, we need to bring these blood sugars lower. You have insulin resistance. Your body pumps out too much insulin. And now in a few hours, your blood sugar dips low. And now your body's saying, I need something to eat, I need something to eat, I need sugar. And so it's this vicious cycle that continues on until people develop prediabetes and then diabetes, type 2 diabetes. But studies show that way before people even have been diagnosed with prediabetes, then a massive amount of the population already has blood sugar dysregulation. And what are signs of this? Are intense sugar cravings, needing to always snack, feeling extremely tired and lethargic, feeling sleepy after you eat, feeling tired around 10 a.m. and 3 p.m., brain fog. There are a lot of symptoms that come out of this, but specifically this video is talking about the symptom of food lust, which is cravings. This is why people have intense cravings. So while, yes, of course, there's a spiritual aspect, there's also something that is happening in the body where you have most likely reactive hypoglycemia and most likely also a degree of insulin resistance. And so if you want to get rid of the cravings, the first thing you need to do is learn how to have a diet to manage your blood sugars, because it's low blood sugars that are causing these cravings.